Embers, welcome back to the corner. I'm Gigas,
And I'm Heron.
and today we are ending off season 1 of Campfire Embers.
Yep. So we decided to name this a look back as we move forward. So our whole, I guess, shtick for this episode is we're going to be talking a little bit about just not even really a little bit about. We're going to be looking back at all the content we've made so far, and we're going to give you guys our thoughts on everything that we've done up to this point.
Yeah, so we've done not Campfire Embers, but the entirety of Embers Corner for about 4 or 5 months now.
Let's see. So we launched the channel on August 31st, and it is now December 18th. So we've been going strong for just about
So that's 3 months ago.
just about 4 months. So at the end of this year, we will have had the actual channel up on YouTube for about 4 months.
Yeah, which is crazy to see how far we've come in such a short amount of time.
Exactly, because when we started off with Wildermyth, it was just kind of like, well, here we go.
We're going to either become successful or crash and burn, and with doing it consistently every other day pretty much on the channel, and growing and seeing what people liked and what we liked, and it's become, we've already gotten, as of recording this, 26 subscribers on our channel.
Yep,
which is crazy.
And just about quadrupled our view count since our subscriber special.
Yeah.
So it's it's insane to think that many people have spent like even 5 minutes of their day watching anything we've created.
Exactly. So going to start this off, we're kind of like starting from the beginning and kind of bringing it up to present. So the first ever thing that we recorded on this channel was Wildermyth.
Yep. And the best part about it is I made sure for myself when playing that game that I did not know anything about it going into it. So so that was completely genuine reactions for me for the entire series.
Well, I mean, it's same for me because I played like maybe 5 or 10 minutes of Wildermyth, and then I didn't really do anything else than that. So it was pretty much completely original for me as well. And it's like a campaign anyway, so depending on what you do, it's going to change every single time you play it. I mean, there's a set amount of like story that can repeat itself, but it's mostly going to be different every time you play.
So considering the fact that the game kind of alters around your decision, it's a choose your own adventure game. So the fact that we started that off when we were just learning how to do things for the channel was actually really, really genius, because we were figuring out how to record with a game that was completely altered on our decisions. So it's kind of like a really cool just similar contrast between the I guess it's almost like a metaphor for us starting out as YouTubers in playing a game that, depending on what we do, alters the fate of it.
Mm-hmm.
Where ergo what we do on the channel alters the fate of it, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Wildermyth is definitely something that I would want to do again. It's not really like a time-consuming thing. It's a lot of fun to play. It's just a lot of mental capacity to be able to like make sure you're good with voice acting and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That was really interesting as well, because learning to voice act, and we're still learning and stuff like that, but we're getting better and stuff. You've kind of become Dunar in everything that we've recorded since then because of Dunar.
It's just it's interesting because now whenever like any character kind of gives off that like cockamamie vibe, I'm just kind of like, oh, all right, here we go. I know exactly what voice I'm going to do for this character, because I spent the most time developing that voice from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
So it only made sense that I would keep going with it.
Yeah, so it's very much a really great game to start off with our channel, and we might start season 2 back up in 2024. It's undecided, but definitely a possibility.
Especially because it's possible to play that game over the internet, so we can really start it whenever we want.
Yeah, and also like there's tons of different stories and stuff as well. There's other similar games that I would like to play later on, but Wildermyth is definitely something on the channel that I definitely want to continue at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on from that, I started a solo a solo series of Potion Permit, and very quickly on I discovered like this isn't very entertaining for people watching. It's a lot of fun playing it, but in terms of people watching it, it's not very entertaining.
I wouldn't say it wasn't entertaining. I mean, when I back at the time when you created those and you uploaded them, I overviewed it and I sat back and watched it because I was just like, okay, so this is how Gigas is gonna do solo content on the channel. So I was just like, okay, let's see how he does. And I honestly thought you did a really, really good job. It was you explained the mechanics of the game very well as you figured them out and stuff like that. I know you played a little bit of it beforehand, before you did that to make sure you were reassured yourself. Whereas with the games I've played, besides Amnesia, I know those games inside and out. So it's kind of cool to cool to see almost a blind let's play from you.
Yeah, it was a very different time as well because once we started the channel, I didn't have much in terms of editing skills, and throughout the 4 months, for people who have actually watched this channel from the start, you see a very significant and drastic change in the way that our thumbnails are made, and also the way that we're editing videos. I seem to like very much be more inclusive and more like funny and stuff like that in terms of editing, compared to just the raw footage and like split 30 minutes that what we started with. And some parts definitely are more so like designed for that, like our Played Up series. I kept it the same specifically because it's better to watch it as it is instead of edited down.
Yeah, there's because those games are and I mean we just recorded Overcooked as well. So those games it's interesting because they're very straightforward to the point where you don't have to cut them as much, as opposed to like games like Mario 64 where it's the exact same thing just over and over and over again if you didn't cut it down. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of why those videos aren't necessarily as edited in that way as they are. So
yeah, and it's another thing as well because it's not only an editor's job to like make sure everything looks good, but it's also the editor's job to make sure they're entertained. And that's really the role that I kind of put up with I mean, it really started with your 64 videos, your Mario 64, because I was like looking at this stuff and I'm like, you know what, this is good, but I can make it better. I can make it more entertaining and engaging for our audience to where they want to keep watching.
And I mean, that being the case, Wildermyth had to have been very interesting to edit as well, because it kind of followed the same line of like the style of how you were editing it via like Played Up, how I'm guessing you're gonna edit Overcooked and so on and so forth, because it's just streamlined there as opposed to like the cutaway and fast edits that the Mario games have. So I guess I should say this. I should ask this. What was your favorite part about Wildermyth? What was your favorite, like, just moment that happened or thing that we did in the game?
Well, definitely my favorite part was the whole mist turning into a lichen. That was a lot of fun to, like, kind of do that whole transformation. But in terms of, like, playing the game, I really enjoyed the voice acting of it because it's something new for me, and it was also, like, a part of myself that I could imbue into this character. And yes, I'm like reading a script and talking and stuff like that, but at the same time it's like thinking of like, what would this person do? How would he actually play this out? And you even see, like, if you watch the videos, like we very much put our decisions based off of what would our characters do in that standpoint instead of what we would do.
It was a lot more There was a lot more, I guess, characterization that went into it than we were ever expecting them to be.
Yeah, because I mean, it's like D&D. You make a character, and then you play that character. But in this world, it's very much more scripted, so you kind of get a better viewpoint of what this character is like.
Exactly, which makes it that much easier to make decisions that they would make, but not necessarily what you would make.
Exactly.
Which is what it's supposed to be. And that's what I love that. And that's why I kind of like the idea that Dunar and Mist have become almost our alter egos for this channel. Because it just allows us to almost personify these characters and make them more than what they were, even in Wildermyth.
Yeah, so Mist and Dunar will definitely be making return at some point.
Just maybe not in the same fashion.
Whether it be Wildermyth or a completely different game or series altogether.
So I was actually kind of thinking about, so in Skyward Sword, because I just recorded the first couple of episodes of that,
Spoilers for next year.
It is spoilers for that. I actually kind of struggled a little bit with what I wanted to name Link in that game, because I was like, well, I could name him Dunar, but then he has to be a bumbling idiot that's full of himself the entire time way through, and I have to kind of play Link as that way, whereas I could just personify him through myself. So I actually ended up naming the guy, naming Link Heron, and I figured you're probably going to name your versions of the Link Gigas as we go on forward. So I don't know, it's just kind of interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, so back to Potion Permit, like, I mean, even in the same way of Wildermyth, in a sense, is definitely further on, more so cutting those long bits down. That's definitely what I would do if I was to go back and re-record Potion Permit. All that grindy bits that I left into those videos, I would definitely shorten and cut those out, because nobody wants to really watch that. I mean, like, when you're playing, yeah, you're in control, you do what you want to do, but it's not so much entertaining for the people that are watching it. So I would more so focus on the dialogue and the curing patients and upgrading and exploring new areas and stuff like that, more so than the grind.
I guess for the little while that you were playing played up on the or not play Potion Permit on the channel, what was your favorite portion of that?
Well, I definitely liked the character and herself, Rue. She was very bubbly and like nice and stuff like that. And so I even tried to like become friends with her, because I really wanted to know more about the character that she was. So that was a really, like, in terms of characters, that's my favorite. I liked the whole adventuring and being able to collect your own resources to make your own potions and stuff. That was really cool. One thing I didn't like was how long it took you to be able to get to the point to sell potions, so that way you can actually really start progressing the game.
Yeah.
Because money is a huge part of upgrading and getting stuff in the game, and you're kind of blocked by that for a good while. So that's something that I would have to look into. Maybe I missed something that I can get money earlier on. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on it.
Nice.
Let's see here. Getting further into this.
At this point, what came after both of those series was we started the
Campfire Embers.
We started the podcast, and we go into very, very excruciatingly detailed stories on exactly how we started this the idea for this channel and everything in our origins,
which was our very first episode of
exactly.
Campfire Embers.
So as far as what we've done so far with Campfire Embers, I would say the most difficult thing about recording this podcast is coming up with topics.
Yeah, and that's kind of the reason why we're having this as our finale and then starting it back up in 2024. Because what we're going to be doing is, well, one, we're going to be doing every other week opposed to our every week, as that's going to give us a little bit more time to plan stuff out and also kind of spread out our content a little bit more. But also what we're going to be doing is really making sure that we have topics and stuff to talk about instead of just going into this blind. I mean, of course, we're going to be doing blind stuff just to talk and stuff like that, because that's some of the best stuff just comes from unscripted stuff. But like, at least going into a podcast with something in mind really helps just keep the flow of talking and things like that just on track.
It also just allows us to unpack those topics significantly better than if we just put ourselves in a situation during an unscripted podcast where we had to talk about it at that point.
Yeah, because there's been several points where we've just lost all train of thought, and we're just signaling each other like keep talking so we can think of something to talk about.
Yeah, so that's kind of like one of that's kind of the behind the scenes for Campfire Embers. It's tricky to continuously talk about this, but the whole reason why we do this podcast is so we can further expand points that we discuss on our other playthroughs, and we can just talk about stuff that we want to talk about.
Yeah, and also get closer to our viewers. Like we enjoy people talking in like because we record this on Twitch, so we get feedback and stuff, and maybe hopefully eventually like people will give us stuff to like talk about, like their questions and stuff like that.
Yeah, like my sister jumped on Twitch during our second episode of the series, and it was really nice having somebody that brought up various points and various things that and just added to the conversation via that. It definitely, it's tricky having a person in chat and trying to respond to as many as you can while also having a fluid conversation.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely get better about that in the future.
Yeah, but it's really like this podcast is like, yes, to also talk about us, but also like to like build a bond with our viewers and stuff like that. Like, hey, I want to learn about this thing about you. Oh, well, we can talk about that, or maybe not. We can't talk about that just yet. But it's really just like a way to where like just for us to talk and discuss stuff.
Exactly, and where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so it's I guess I should say this. Because of us going on a bi-weekly schedule with Campfire Embers, what's going to be replacing those off weeks, Gigas?
Well, it's going to be interesting because we're going to have a lot of different things coming up. For now, it's up in the air, but we're planning on probably having some other gameplay stuff. The preference is once we get verses up on the channel, that's going to be what's happening every other week, and then maybe another one.
Kind of our main one that we're focusing on.
Yeah.
Versus our not necessarily one-off, but more so. Think about it like putting a batter on deck. We'll have our main one that's up to bat during the week that will be consistently every week on what we're focusing on, and then our second one will be coming in kind of spoon feeding away until we finish our main one, and then that being taking the place of it, and then scooting in kind of like that.
Yeah, because our main goal is to be able to have 2 games that we're playing together as a co-op series, 2 games that are going to be versus.
They're going to be competition based. Yep.
And then 1 each solo. That is our goal for the channel until we become like big enough to where we can start doing our own solo channels.
Yep. So that will equate to about 6 uploads a week, which will be really fantastic. And then Campfire Embers will be flopping back between that and most likely one-off videos at that point. So it's so that way we can keep it fresh and entertaining for y'all while still having these videos up and running, so that way we can get going. And I do want to say this. I made it a personal rule that I will not be launching any social media platforms for the channel until we hit 50 subs. The reason for this is because we want to generate a little bit more of cyber traffic, so that way we have more people going into those, and we have because the thing is, with cyber traffic playing a portion in social media, a lot more people are going to be following those things just right out the gate when we already have enough subscribers. So that way we can make an announcement and so on and so forth. Then it'll go throw us into the algorithms for each of those individual social media platforms, and it'll just be a lot more fluid at that point. So 24 more subs to go. Can we hit it?
Yeah, that'll be really great. So that's kind of where our Discord is at the moment as well.
Yep.
Like just kind of fallen off the face of the earth.
Yeah, so unfortunately it originally crashed because we did not have full ownership of the original Discord server that we had. And due to a couple of unforeseen things with that being an issue, we ended up having to crash the server.
Should I talk about it?
No, we're just gonna
well, it not in depth, but I feel like I can at least get away with saying this.
All right.
this channel was originally supposed to be with 3 people.
Yes, it was. But unfortunately, our third buddy has some, what's the best way I can describe this? They have some commitment issues.
Yeah, so that in return ended us um, providing them onto the channel just because it was inconsistent. We would try to record with them and then they would drop out for whatever reason. So
Yeah, and it's not like we're, and the thing is, me and Gigas are very lenient people, like especially with each other, but for our friends as well. So it got to the point where this was happening way too often, and the reasons, unfortunately, just kept getting more and more lazy as it progressed. So, unfortunately, until that person proves that they can commit to this channel, they will not be making an appearance.
yeah. With that said, let's move on to the next.
I guess I
game
can
on
talk
our
about this a
channel.
little bit. The my favorite portion of Wildermyth was probably when Dunar fused with the fire spirit and became kind of a fire god.
Oh yeah, it was just like, oh, it's not hot. I'm touching fire.
The fire is calling to me. But yeah, no, that was really interesting because it played a little bit more of a serious note for Dunar's character and progression through that series, because he was originally a bumbling idiot trying to figure out what was going on, and then became significantly more of a leader and strategist as the series progressed. And that's exactly what Dunar is. He's as he grew up, that's what happened. So he's a very not really stone-faced. He is still hard-headed, and he's still a very comedic person, but he knows when to hold back the comedy side to further his understanding of what can be done and further his strategy going into various things like that. So that's kind of like the progression of the character development that I wanted to go with Dunar, and him fusing with fire allowed for a much more interesting version of that. So that was probably my favorite of that. Out of what I saw for Potion Permit, I think just your almost laid back kind of commentary style for that game made it that much more impactful of a series, because it allowed for it made it feel like you were genuinely in a new area trying to figure out how to make your way with the people not already liking you because you were from the capital. So you did very good with that from what I saw. So props to you on that.
Thank you.
As far as Campfire Embers is concerned, my favorite thing that's happened so far with season 1 was probably just getting to talk about various things that I enjoy, and having those conversations recorded for people to listen to. Because as I was saying a little bit in a couple of different series, I went back to and listened for those, not only just to make sure that they uploaded correctly and stuff like that, but also because it was actually genuinely nice to talk about, to listen to those things. And I don't want to sound egotistical, like I like listening to myself talk or anything like that, but I genuinely got lost in the conversation even though I had it before. So it was kind of a really interesting thing that happened while I was listening to those. So if that's how I interpret it, I can only imagine how you guys interpret it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's probably my favorite with that. I guess our next series that came after Campfire Embers was
Played Up.
Yeah, Played Up was, I had no idea what I was expecting going into it. We played a little bit of it before we started, just to see, just to kind of figure out the controls and see how far we could go with it. But it ended up being difficult in ways that I didn't think were going to be a problem.
Yeah. So how we decided on Played Up was, I watched this this YouTuber group called Stumped. It's still one of my favorite YouTube and Twitch channels. They're moan ignore that. Mainly on Twitch.
You got it.
But they started playing Played Up, and I was actually really enjoying their 4-player let's play of it, and I was just like, this would be really fun to play at some point. And this was before we even started the channel as well, because what I decided was, like, I even talked with Heron about this when we went on our summer trip. We did a bunch of stuff there, but I referenced it and I was like, this would be a really fun game to play. And once we started up our channel and stuff like that, we were like, okay, well, we have 2 games going out right now. We should probably get a third one going on, so that way we have a little bit more diversity. And that's the game that popped up that I was like, this would be a lot of fun to play.
And it definitely was.
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, even towards the end, because we just finished our. By the time that this video comes out, it should be our last video out.
Yeah, or we kind of technically ended the series with well, I mean, exactly what we were trying to do the entire time, hitting 5 stars.
Exactly. That was our goal from the beginning, and we hit that, and it's time to move on.
Exactly.
We definitely will be playing this more on our own. Maybe some one-off videos will be playing just some side stuff or whatever, but
because it is a fun game and there is still more stuff to do in that game, but it's gotten to the point now where we don't have enough unlocked for it to not be repetitious. So until
and that's definitely something that we were hitting later on, because we were so focused on just trying to get 5 stars that it became repetitious, because we were just doing the same thing but just trying different strategies.
Exactly. So as far as that series making a comeback goes, it definitely will, but we are going to be handling it in very different ways. So look forward to that. There's a reason why there's not a quote-unquote wrap-up video for that series.
Yeah, so a fun thing about Played Up is when we actually started this, it was our most viewed game on our channel.
Exactly, because it was chaotic, it seemed to be entertaining, at least to listen to, and it was just overall it was fun to play. So it made it got to the point where we were having genuinely fun recording this. Not that we weren't with like Wildermyth and Potion Permit, but it was kind of
it was just a different pace than what we were doing at the time.
Exactly, because the other 2 games were kind of story related. This was just game. So so it's kind of a breath of fresh air that you don't really need to worry about the story of that game.
Exactly.
Because there isn't one. You're trying to build a restaurant from the beginning and go.
Yeah, and that's something that I was really looking forward to as well, while we're like just doing this whole thing, because sometimes work would get just really stressful and I didn't have a lot of time, or we were just recording for hours prior to recording that, and it was just something that I could just relax and just play and commentate. I didn't really have to worry about anything. It was just like, oh, hey, we're playing Played Up today. We can just relax and play.
Exactly. So it's even with how quote unquote stressful those games get with Played Up and Overcooked and stuff like that, it's an easy way for us to get into the recording mood, which is why Played Up and Overcooked ended up becoming kind of our well, more so Overcooked will be becoming that way. It's kind of our warm-up video to get for the other content that we're going to be recording for that day.
Yeah. And I don't want to say it like this, but it's kind of like our filler as well. Like, it's just kind of something that's put there for people who want to see like more of a laid-back episode and just have us talk and stuff like that just throughout the week.
Yep. I will say Overcooked is definitely significantly more chaotic, because Played Up is... the whole portion of that is, even when you're getting like more and more food and stuff like that as you're progressing, it's the same thing over and over and over again. So you get focused and you get set into a rhythm, so it makes it almost difficult to commentate over. Whereas with Overcooked, it's different every single time, so there's always something fresh to talk about. Which is also kind of a hindrance, because it makes us get distracted when we're actually having a conversation, and then something like a balloon exploding happens and you don't know what, and you're like flabbergasted trying to figure out what to talk about.
Yeah.
But it definitely it was entertaining to play. Hopefully it's entertaining to watch.
Yeah, it's definitely something it was a learning experience as well, because it kind of taught us to really focus on talking while we're focused and stuff like that as well.
Exactly. So we got into the rhythm of how to play the game, and then as we figured that out, we were just like, okay, now we need to figure out how to start incorporating commentary into this. And for a good portion of it, it ended up being no, I need that, no.
Yeah, because that's the thing about Played Up, is because like once you start a restaurant, it's very laid back, it's very chill, and you can like talk and stuff. but later on, like 4 or 5 stars, then it really starts getting hectic and you have to start focusing more, and then it becomes harder to talk.
Exactly. Whereas Overcooked is that way from the beginning, so there's literally no room for you to get comfortable with it. You just have to figure out how to do commentary on the fly with chaos ensuing on the screen.
Yeah. So after a bit played up Wildermyth and Potion Permit, we started Amnesia.
Amnesia was interesting because the whole reason we decided to do that game was there wasn't really a solo game on the channel for me yet, so we were just like, hey, let's go ahead and do this. So that's what we did. We had 2 co-op series. You had your solo series of Potion Pyramid. I was just like, okay, you know what, let's do something. I don't really know what to do though. Hey, it's October, let's do a spooky game. So Amnesia ended up being that. So there wasn't really forethought going into recording it. It was just more along the lines of, hey, this is a thing that we want to do at some point. Okay, let's go. And the tricky part about recording that game was it was spooky, and I had to cater my commentary to it being so that way the game was more immersive for people that hadn't seen it before. And I mean, I was playing it blind too, so it led to some pretty funny moments.
Yeah.
I think probably the more, excuse me, I'm sorry. I think the most entertaining thing that came from that, at least in my perspective, so my favorite moment for Amnesia was probably the chase segment at the end of episode 4, because it made me focus and fly. So there's because I was freaking out the entire time, and I was just like, okay, I don't know what to do. Okay, yeah, no. So it was definitely a lot more animated commentary, and I kind of felt like I was actually being chased because of how I was commentating it. It was kind of fun. And it was terrifying too. There were definitely portions of that Let's Play, even with the 4 episodes that are out right now, where I genuinely got scared. And you know me, I'm not a jumpy person. Yeah. So like I was fully getting immersed in these games.
Yeah. I think my favorite part about that series, just from editing and stuff, is the time that you got stuck in that one room for like an hour.
It was not an hour. It was maybe 5 minutes.
No, it was. I think the entire time that I cut was at least 10 or 15 minutes.
There's no way it was that much. It really was.
That's why I cut it and said a very long amount of time later, because it was that long that you were just wandering around and leaving the room, going back into the room. And that's why I even came into the room and like, pull the freaking book.
The trickiest part about that though was the fact that I was commentating when the latch went off. So I missed a very vital thing that the game programs itself so that way you don't miss it, because I was talking. So there was literally no saving me from that.
But yeah, that's my favorite part about it. I think another really good part was when you went through the doorway and you looked back, and then there was immediately a creature there. You like jumped from it.
Yeah, no, I actually genuinely got scared because I was just like, whoa. Yeah, no, I genuinely got scared a couple of times.
I believe that was the thumbnail of episode 2 as well.
Yeah, it was. And so it it definitely led to some definitely entertaining moments, but it did lead to a little bit of a problem with us doing quote-unquote themed content for a holiday season, and why we didn't really figure out something to do specifically for like Christmas and stuff like that. It was because we ran into a little bit of an issue of it being like the middle of November and it being way past spooky season.
Yeah, so next year we're especially around like certain times, we're definitely probably going to be doing several more episodes specifically related to like say Halloween. We're going to be probably doing like maybe 2 or 3, so that way the entire month is specifically those things, and we can get out a lot more episodes of it.
And the nice thing about that too is it allows us to kind of take a step back from our other content that's going on at the channel at the moment, while still uploading and kind of sprinkling it in. But it allows us to stay on theme for everything that we're doing, which is how we're going to be tackling holiday seasons on in the future. So fingers crossed, Christmas we'll actually have content for next year.
Yeah. So pretty much after Amnesia took place, that was when I decided like, okay, Potion Permit's not doing very well, so I'm probably just going to like meander it out and kind of to stop it.
Yep.
But that was also when we started Mario Wonder.
And that series is so much fun to record.
Yes.
Because it not only is it just a fun game to play, but because we're commentating and we're co-commentating the entire thing, and it's almost like a constant feud between each person as we're playing co-op because of the competition element that is vitally important to the multiplayer aspect of that game. So it gets to the point where I'm just like, I have to sit here and just die repeatedly until Gigas decides to give me a chance, and then vice versa. The exact same thing happens when I have camera control.
It's a lot of fun. But that's definitely a turning point in our channel as well, because we tried to record this as quickly as we could just because we wanted to like stay relevant to like everyone and like make sure like, hey, we got this brand new game, we want to actually play it before we get spoilers and stuff like that.
Yeah, so up to this point our videos were maybe getting like 5 or 6 consistent viewers and like capping off at like 12. But when Wonder took off, we got 326 views on this video.
Yeah, currently as of time of recording this, it is at 370.
Yeah, so people are genuinely still interested in this game, and the thing is, we knew it was going to not necessarily take off, but we definitely knew it was going to boost our view count a little bit. We just didn't think it was going to be that much.
Yeah. It was definitely like, oh, this is a new game, it's a Mario game, which we both love. We're going to play this and just have fun with it.
Exactly. So we figured out how to, it was kind of cool too, because it allowed us to experiment a little bit with how we're going to be tackling like Mario games and stuff like that in the future. So we decided forefront that we were going to 100% the game as we went through it. But, and it later morphed into us 100%ing every level before moving on with that. However, it also allowed you to be a lot more creative with your editing style.
Yeah, that was when I started really doing those more edited, more involving like stuff.
Exactly.
Was Mario Wonder.
And because of how we were playing the game, because originally what we were going to do was we were going to just play through the world and then go back and do a montage of 100%ing it. But we realized, okay, no, I'd rather not do that because then it's just a bunch of content no one's going to see. So let's do this instead of 100%ing the levels as we progress through the world.
And I think it actually adds to our playthrough a little bit better as well.
It does, but that's not to say that the first 4 episodes weren't entertaining, because that 4th episode is still one of my favorites just because of that montage you put together.
Yeah. That would be definitely my favorite part as of right now, is that montage. I had never done something like that before, and just having it all come together that well, it was just so like, it was just really great for me to be able to see something that I worked so hard on actually turning out really well.
Yeah, and I think my favorite thing about the series, where we're at with it right now at least, is I think my favorite part probably was what happened in between World 3 and 4 of me just going clinically insane. And not only not figuring out a specific voice that I initially did for Master Poplin really, really well, but we fast forward to like in between World 4 and me just chaotically buying all the standees. It was just like, I actually legitimately lost my mind there. And I was just like, okay, screw this. Logic to the wall. We're doing this. Let's go.
And then you spent all of our coins.
It's fine. But I would definitely say like that is probably like, I wouldn't say it's probably like my best moment, so to speak, but it definitely it was probably the most entertaining that I'd seen out of that series so far.
Yeah.
Just from flat commentary, paired with what we had going for it.
Yeah, my worst moment of this series was definitely voicing the Poplins.
Okay, so when I went back and watched those videos just to see like where we started out and what we were doing with it originally, I was just like, okay, this is fine. So on recording, like actually viewing the video, it wasn't necessarily as bad as that.
Well,
but
it was also because I cut down the pitch of it
exactly
by a lot.
Yeah, no, and I'm taking that into consideration with you saying this. The problem and why Gigas is saying this is because imagine a cat scratching on a chalkboard with sirens going off and your ears bleeding all at the same time, and it being loud and right next to your ears. That is why I despised any time you did it, and I actually tried to leave the room whenever you did it, but I kept myself back.
Well, it also hurt my voice as well. That's why I was like, no, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah, so there was nothing good that came out of that.
But it was just like, the Poplins have a very high-pitched voice, and I can speak higher than the both of us, so...
Exactly. So it was just like, I know what you were attempting to do with it, but it just hurt. It hurt you, it hurt me, and it was annoying. So it was just like, okay.
Yeah, so we're currently about halfway through.
Yep.
As of recording this, and
I'm excited.
Still an amazing game. I'm looking forward to recording it every time we start.
Exactly. I think my favorite thing about these upcoming episodes, a little bit of an insider's peek, is we recorded, this was our longest recording session that we did for Mario Wonder, so we decided to bust through and do the entirety of World 4 in that kind of just spur of the moment. We decided, okay, we're going to backlog enough of this so that way we don't have to record it anymore. Not that we were not having fun with the series, we just were running out of time to get stuff recorded.
Yeah, because Heron will be going to visit family for Christmas break, so we're going to be not doing fresh recordings until the new year.
Yeah, so it was all bulk recording stuff, and because of that, we ended up recording for 3.5 hours straight.
Yeah, because we finished World 3, and then we were like, okay, World 4 is not going to be very long, and then it took us like 2 hours.
Yeah, it took us a while, and it's definitely vitally apparent that we're kind of getting ticked off and our brains are kind of deteriorating a little bit the further we go in. So our commentary is going to get more sporadic and more insane to the point where we are just yelling at the game. So I'm excited to see I'm just excited to see what exactly happened, because I haven't seen that footage since we initially recorded it.
Yeah.
So
speaking of that, as of Mario Wonder was supposed to come out as the day of we were recording this, and audio issues happened.
Yep.
So that's fun because it took me hours to edit, and I have to redo that. So.
I guess that's kind of a little bit of a segue into the series that followed Amnesia for me, Mario 64.
Yes, that was probably whenever I really started getting into my comfort zone with editing, and I really, really got to start bashing you for every mistake you did.
Everything on me, to the point where I was almost getting bad at some of the edits that you put on there, because I was just like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Like in our most current episode of Mario 64 that went up at the time of this, I only died a couple of times in succession, but you in text state, bruh, stop dying, I'm running out of edits. And I'm just like, bro, you don't get to say anything. Because I'm just waiting for the time when you play a game that you are so unbelievably used to doing and stuff just going wrong.
Well, the thing about that episode in particular is I was more so just trying to do something, because you weren't doing a lot of mistakes, so I was just trying, like, okay, well, I don't want to just do nothing.
Yeah, so it was because I kind of turned it into fourth gear for that, or kind of turned it into third gear for that recording session, because I was just like, okay, we're busting this out, we are gonna finish this game in this recording session, let's go. So when I clicked that little like mindset into being, it was just kind of like, okay, we're doing this, here we go.
Yeah. But Mario 64 has definitely been the most creative that we've been on this channel, and also the most popular that we've done to date.
Yeah, with episode 2 getting 616 views at the time of recording this.
Current most viewed video ever on our channel, which is crazy.
It's basically doubled the view count of the pilot for Mario Wonder.
Yeah.
And that's just like, I knew the game would be popular because it resonates with a lot of people, but I had no idea that it was going to take off that well. And I was astounded because every video has broken 100 views. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, what is happening right now? Like, at the time of like seeing just like these views constantly go in and out and stuff like that, I'm just like, whoa, That's all I can say about that. Is
Well, because like the entire reason why you started playing it is because it's your favorite game.
exactly. So I was able to kind of put, at the time of recording it, I was able to put that much care into my commentary. And as we went through, granted, there were some quote unquote chill / boring segments in that series because I was mass recording at that time. But it helped a lot because it was just like I got to chill and record and talk about my favorite game. It was almost like a comfort blanket, you know? Like the game that I'm recording right now is a game that I know better than any other game I've ever played. And so because of that, if I screw up multiple times, it allows me to focus on my commentary, and it allows me to focus on just a more caring series overall. And that's why I loved recording that so much, and why I'm so happy that it did so well.
Yeah, it's been really interesting just to be more experimental with how I edit, and also like it's more so like, okay, I'm watching you do this. What can I do to kind of like make this like more than what it already is?
It almost, I think my favorite
Or
thing,
exaggerated in a way.
I think one of my favorite things about that series is, even though you weren't co-commentating with me for the most part, you had a couple of snippets where you got some vocals in. It made it feel like you were still a part of the Let's Play.
Yeah,
And that was really cool.
Yeah. One what was it? There was certain parts of you recording it where you were like actively like playing around with me in terms of editing and not in person, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, because it made it feel like I was actually talking to a person and you responding to me, just not vocally.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I did with well, I mean, this most recent Wonder video whenever I get it out. But I myself did that as of I was like, you know what? You want me to ask you a question? I'm going to ask you a question in editing, and I want you to respond to it.
I think my favorite thing about that segment, because that's in a segment that hasn't happened just yet, at least at the time of recording this, because the episode hasn't gone out.
Yeah, and you haven't seen my answer for it.
Exactly. So I'm excited to see that, because I'm just like, because when we recorded that, I was so awestruck at the fact that you were going to attempt something like that I actually full on paused the game. It was just like, what do you want me to do with that?
Yeah. I don't know how you're going to feel about my question, but it makes it really funny.
Alrighty, I'll trust you, but that's kind of the nice thing about this too, is because we're doing a bunch of content that neither of us really know is going to be like. Granted, you're kind of like the master sorter, so to speak, with all of our content, because of, you get to edit and everything. But because I don't know how you're going to edit some things that happen, it makes the commentary more authentic in the moment.
Yeah.
And that's why it's kind of fun, which is why I'm excited to see how you respond to how I edit some things in the future.
Yeah, so that's another thing, because once you get your setup and everything, you're gonna be partially doing editing with me.
At that point, we will be splitting up the work for editing videos 50-50.
And there's a lot that I would have to teach you with just getting editing on the same level as we already are. And eventually, like, we would really like to be able to hire an editor that would be able to do editing to a higher degree than what we can do, because we're not professionals.
No, and it's one of those things that just will come with time as we progress through the channel.
Yeah, and also with getting an editor that's also going to allow us to take more time into our videos and make it a lot better quality.
Exactly. So the time that we would be editing videos, we can spend it on
planning.
Spend it on planning and stuff like that, which allows us to be more creative with the content that we put out.
Exactly.
So it's definitely gonna be a lot more fun at that point. Not saying that it's not fun right now. It's just more along the lines of this is what's going to be happening. I guess I should say this. My favorite part about Mario 64, and as we finished up the series, my favorite moment for the entire series that has happened so far would probably have to be, I don't know, what was yours?
My favorite part, specifically because I had some fun with it, but whenever you were chasing the golden bunnies.
I think my favorite It's not necessarily like a specific moment, but almost any time that you had quick edits after me dying multiple times, like not like cutaway edits like the slow clapping, because those dragged on a little bit too long, but but it some of the better ones, like the guy laughing, or like the other dude just screaming at you, or like the cutaway for the office edits and stuff like that, it made it more like, bruh. So it made it a lot more of like a cooperative effort at those points. So I don't have a specific moment where if I had to choose a specific moment in the series that happened, I would probably have to say anytime I was in a winter level, just because even though there were some segments where like I would go flying off the map randomly, it was, and like just the compilation of me doing the various slide attempts and stuff like that in Cool Mountain and things like that, it I felt almost at peace playing those levels, because seriously, if I'm just having a really bad day, throw me into some snow and I will instantly be a better person.
So I have a question for you.
All right.
It more so relates to the later streams that you did, because you didn't really know what would happen whenever we first started Mario 64, but the later streams, did knowing my editing, did that alter your gameplay? Knowing like, okay, depending on what I do, Gigas is going to bash me for it.
Not necessarily. I actually, I was only focusing more so on like whatever I was doing at that moment. So I wouldn't say that it really altered my gameplay, but it definitely altered my commentary. So I guess that's a little behind the scenes for that series, and I guess all I can say is before we finally cap that series off, because once the finale is recorded and everything, we will have one more video to finalize and finish off the series for that.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like a spoonful of what that video is going to be about. So look forward to that. Which brings us to the new year.
Yeah. So we have a few games that we're planning on playing as we're fading out these old games, just to kind of bring some new stuff in. And we've decided to do Overcooked, as you might have heard.
Overcooked 2 specifically.
Yes.
We will be playing the base game until we finish that, and then we will be moving on to the DLC of that, because it's fun having that game that just allows us to cooperatively have a combined effort into a sustained goal like Mario Wonder, without it being not necessarily the same thing every time, but it's a little bit more of a chaotic time playing those games. So that's kind of why we want to keep those series. And Overcooked is a pretty long game if you try to 100% it. So that series is going to be around for a while.
Yeah, so Overcooked's gonna be one. I intend on playing Hollow Knight. I've already done a standard playthrough of the game. So something that I would like to do is try the true ending, and then maybe later on go for the Pantheons. Pantheon 5 is going to be a nightmare. The Grim Troop, I would like to try that because I've never done that. And then also try and 112%, like complete Hollow Knight. Something I've never done, something I want to do. It just gets just stuff that I have to train and get better at the game, because it's like Dark Souls and Metroid had a baby and came Hollow Knight.
Exactly. So it's definitely interesting, and I think my favorite thing that I kind of decided to do with Zelda is I've played a lot of these games that I'm going to be recording various and like so many times to the point where I know them all ridiculously well.
Yeah.
And so what I decided to do is I decided that, all right, here we go. This is going to be interesting. I'm going to do something I've never done before. I'm going to be playing in hero mode for the majority of the games that I play for the Zelda series, because they're playthroughs that I've always wanted to do, but because for most of those games you don't unlock hero mode until beating the game. After beating the game, I'm just like, okay, I guess I have to go back and play through it again. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So, but then I'm like, do I want to play in hero mode? No. This kind of gives me that metaphorical push to finally do hero mode playthroughs. And so it's almost like replaying the game for your first time again, because there's added ailments of difficulty that you don't foresee.
Yeah, and that's something I wanted to talk about too, because with Mario 64 just ending and you're starting with Skyward Sword, which is going to be the first game in the series, chronologically, well, story-wise.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting because there's going to be two completely different ways to play this game. Like being me and you, because you've played these games, you know what to expect, and you're just going to be going through it like because you already know. But then there's me who's never played these games before, so it's like an expert and then a novice.
Yep.
So that's two totally different people playing a game, and I feel like that kind of caters to our audience a little bit because it like, okay, there's someone who knows how to play this, can comment over it, and then there's someone who's legitimately doing a blind playthrough of it.
And it's going to be like extremely apparent when we get to the Oracle games, because I'm going to be blowing through seasons, doing my absolute best to like methodically play through every little bit, while contrastingly the same series is going on just on ages for you.
Yeah.
So they're going to be two different games all within the same style. And you're actually going to see, because they'll be back-to-back uploading schedules where I'll probably be going first and then you'll be following shortly later in the week. So the Oracle games are going to be a fantastic series, and I'm very excited to tackle both of those.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like I will be playing a little bit of the game before I actually start doing my stuff, because I want to make sure I'm not just getting lost somewhere.
Yeah. And at the point with like, for example, Twilight Princess, there are very easy things that you can skip over in those games. So I'm going to try my best to help you out a little bit without spoiling those, because one of the things that in Twilight Princess is the heart pieces. There's something very interesting about that, about the heart pieces in that game that I don't know if you really remember. And it's something that the rest of the Zelda series does not do. And so I'm actually very excited for you to see that, because it will allow you to almost explore the world a little bit more methodically. So I'm excited to see how you do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, tackling the Zelda series is going to be a main staple until we catch up to Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, which I'm looking forward to essentially replaying it, because since we talked about Tears of the Kingdom last time, I actually beat the game.
Yep. I haven't yet. I'm working on it.
It's I honestly think Tears of the Kingdom is the best boss fight I've ever played.
Alrighty, I will. So the thing is, again, novice versus expert. My favorite boss in the entire Zelda series up to this point has been the final boss for Twilight Princess. Because I'm not going to say anything about that, but there's a reason why that boss fight is my favorite. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah. The last game that we're planning to play at the starting of the year, well, at least me, there will be some other smaller games that we do have planned just as like one-off games. But another game that I personally want to do as like a solo until Heron gets his own setup, and then I want to drag him into it. But I will be doing Rust. I have talked about this earlier on. Still in the process of learning how to play the game. Getting better. So it's definitely going to be very interesting recording it, because it's going to be very long streams condensed into probably an hour of footage with someone who's barely played the game. So it's going to be very interesting for people watching and seeing like this new person playing and trying to figure everything out. So yeah, it's something very interesting. Bit of a shot in the dark, because I have no clue how you guys are going to be responding to it. But I'm excited for it. I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm hoping you guys enjoy.
Well, we got to mess around with like different types of content, because I want to urge this right now. Regardless, we're going to have a lot of Nintendo content on the channel eventually. This is not a Nintendo-oriented gameplay channel.
Yeah, it's just Heron wanting to play Nintendo games because he loves Nintendo games.
It's also like Nintendo is my wheelhouse. So while you get to do stuff with like Minecraft and Stardew Valley and all that stuff, which you're going to be kind of coaching me through those games whenever we do those series and things like that, I get to kind of coach you a little bit in the ways of the Nintendo. And so I'm very excited for that, and it it allows for more contrasting commentary with those, because it also allows us to kind of switch positions on who's spearheading on the style of content that we're doing. The whole reason why I'm kind of spearheading Nintendo is because I have the most games under my belt in that on that franchise. So,
but yeah, look forward to some more non-Nintendo related stuff, because that's not what we're maining.
but at the same time, look forward to more Nintendo stuff.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty much caught up to where we are now.
Exactly. So this was just kind of an episode to look back on the channel and see where we're going forward. So that's exactly why we titled it a look back as we move forward, because 2024 is going to be a year of a lot of firsts for both of us, while at the same time kind of getting to be more fresh and comfortable with our style of commentary.
I think it's just now getting to the point where we're finally starting to get comfortable in doing like stuff that's specifically us, and we can put our own flair into our content. So and that's only going to become greater and more apparent as we move forward. So that's something that's going to be really awesome.
The coolest part about all of this is something happened in Skyward Sword that almost made me realize that we're finally we're going into the next chapter of the channel. The capture card fixed itself. We no longer have a line in the graphics.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's actually awesome. I don't know why it fixed itself, but that's news to me.
Exactly. So, and I was I was a little worried about recording Skyward Sword, because like that game it's a beautiful game, graphics wise, music wise, storytelling wise, and just having a random line in the middle moving up and down the screen was going to make it so unbelievably chaotic.
Yeah. Let's just hope you didn't jinx us.
Yep. Fingers crossed. But, if that's the case, then, well, I guess kind of unlocking and almost pushing that last final puzzle piece into our graphics content and stuff like that, it just allows us to do more with that. And we don't have that added distraction anymore.
Yeah.
So let's go.
Yeah. With that, that's going to end it for us today. I really hope you guys enjoyed the season finale of Campfire Embers. We are very much looking forward to providing some new content for you guys and getting better with all this. We're still new onto this channel, and we're still learning everything, but
the channel isn't even a year old yet, guys. So, but the fact that we've come so far in 4 months is astounding to us.
And you guys have done like amazing with support on this channel. Like it's been nothing but like positivity with you guys, and we really do appreciate it.
Yeah, so please share this content with a friend. Don't forget to like and comment as well, because we always want to hear what you guys have to say about the stuff that we're putting out. It's not necessarily that we're asking for like positive feedback and stuff like that. We'll take negative feedback as well, and constructive criticism, because we want to get better. So the whole reason why we talk about and I say this kind of just as a preface with comments as well, is we want content, we want topics and stuff like that we can talk about that we're able to talk about, because some of the trips that we have taken and some of the stuff that we did senior year, a lot of people can get harmed if we talk about them incorrectly. So that's why a lot of those things are upwards of us having to can our quote unquote fourth episode of Campfire Embers and stuff like that, was because we just don't have almost not necessarily the legal clearance, but the safety of those corporations that are almost third-partyly involved with us talking about them. So please be patient and please be considerate with your topics. But if you just want to take a shot in the dark, go ahead and throw it out, and we'll consider it.
Yeah.
There's not a single comment that we do not consider, and there's nothing that we won't try to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, we really hope you guys enjoyed. If you're watching this on Twitch, please check out our YouTube channel at Embers Corner.
We will get better about starting at consistent times on Twitch in the next year as well. It's just life happens, stuff happens, but maybe if we have a couple more people consistently watching us on Twitch as we're recording our content, we may have a little bit more of an incentive to do it at specific times.
All right. Yeah. If you guys are watching on YouTube, please, check out our Twitch. It's at Embers Corner as well. So
Yep. Tell your friends, show your content, because the closer we get to 50, the closer we have to social media and hyper condensed versions of different clips being up on those social media platforms.
Yep.
So
that's something to look forward to.
Exactly. So look forward back to, and well, I guess just hang out for a little bit as we prep you for the next season of Campfire Embers. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Deuces.
Bye guys.